Welcome back, everyone.
Caleb, welcome back.
On this week's episode, we're going to talk about how the government is screwing us all by keeping us in our homes.
Indeed.
Yes. All right. Bye.
So, do viruses exist, Daniel?
I'm starting to think they don't.
Tell me why.
Well, I've only watched about 3 hours of videos claiming that it's a possibility that the germ theory is exactly that, just a theory, which I didn't know that beforehand. Now, of course, there are strenuous things that theories have to go through to become theories, right? So it's not completely based on nothing, but it's not proven by science that germs are spread the way that they claim they are. And turns out the entire medical industry proceeds in a way that, I don't know, they act like it's a complete 100% fact, and
Sure.
They're not doing any type of research on anything else to see if anything else would be causing illness, because to them it's already settled science, right? Yeah. It's the same thing.
What is it, like a large, like the mass majority of like funding that's given to scientific research is government
yes,
grants.
Almost all scientific research is
there's probably going to be some there's a little bit of bias there. If the government is like wanting you to do a study on something, they want you to find a result.
You would assume that for sure, right? Because anyone who's giving you money for anything, they're going to want something out of it.
Yeah.
So if they had an agenda or had a plan that they wanted, like, of course they're like, we want you to research this and come up with the results that we want. And it's been that way for a very long time.
Well, that's probably what happened with like the food pyramid and everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bunch of horse shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're starting to realize that now that that's completely wrong and it's not good to eat according to the food pyramid.
You just bread all day.
Eat at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you should eat, but you shouldn't eat mostly grains.
Is that at the top?
It makes you fat. No, that's the bottom, right?
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to eat the most.
That's the foundation.
Okay, so the bottom is what you're supposed to eat the most of?
The foundation of any platform is supposed to be the best, right? It's supposed to be the most rock solid part of it. That's what
holds everything together.
So
I hadn't looked into all this.
I love in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. He's like, I love garlic bread. It's my favorite. I could eat it every day. And she's like, you get fat. And he goes, bread makes you fat?
Yep, it does.
It also, the carbs are actually really good for energy.
That's because they turn into sugar, and sugar gives you a spike of energy, but you crash really hard after that. It's not a good sustainable source of energy. It's not a long-lasting energy. Fat is a much better source of energy for longer lasting, no crashing. That's why a lot of people are switching to the keto stuff, which it may have its own set of problems. I mean, I don't know that one extreme or the other is necessarily a completely good idea. I could be wrong, but I mean, I do think there's a place for fruits and vegetables.
So the food pyramid says that 40% of everything you consume needs to be bread, pasta, and cereals. 35% should be fruits and vegetables, 20% meat, fish, eggs, and milk, and then 5% fat, oil, sugar, and sweets. Like sugar is not in cereal, bread, and pasta.
Yeah, that's all those things turn into.
Damn it.
Have you ever been on a keto diet?
I have not personally.
Because that's what I've been doing for like what I was doing for like 2.5 months. And like what you were talking about, energy, to me, I've never had more energy in my entire life than eating straight meat and high fat products like that. It was the bomb.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to get back on now, but it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, your brain, from what I understand, seems to work a lot better when it's using fat as a source of fuel versus glucose as a source of fuel. Because, like I said a minute ago, one is a longer lasting source of energy, and the other one is a short burst of energy, but it comes with a crash afterwards.
Well, one thing I can say though, you get on a keto diet, and then you eat. Like I was eating no carbs, which is kind of unhealthy, but I mean, you're supposed to take in 10 to 20 grams, whatever it is, like a small, very small amount. But I was eating none at all, and when I would eat a piece of bread, I would shit immediately. Like, it was terrible. Like, it would tear my stomach up to the point of like, this is awful. I don't even want to go. I don't even want to look at bread.
Yeah.
So it was weird the way that my body acted towards it.
It is weird.
Yeah, that was the same thing when I did it. Like,
Really?
if you deviate from it at all, it completely just screws you up.
Yeah, it'll tear you up. Like, I would have to, like, I work at Papa John's, and I would eat a piece of pizza or something and immediately be like, all right, I can't take this run. I have to go to the bathroom right now. Like, this is terrible.
I feel like that probably happens with like a lot of different dietary changes, though.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, same with probably if you don't eat meat and then you eat it.
Changing your diet will fuck your system up a little, maybe in a good or a bad way. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, no, it would do that to me when I was going on it too. Like, my stomach would be screwed up
for a week or two.
The only time it didn't, because I've been on and off it like 3 or 4 times, if I just do like a 48-hour fast into it,
yeah, like
I'm not screwed up. But if I keep eating, but just start eating meat and eggs and cheese and that kind of crap,
So if you kind of gave your entire system a break for a couple of days,
it didn't mess me up.
It wouldn't mess with you.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I don't know if it happened to you, but I was completely drained for like the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, from not eating any carbs or anything, I was so drained. I would just want to sleep, or just, like, I would be like, ugh, like my legs would shake. I'd be so weak.
But that didn't happen either when I fasted 48
Really?
hours to go into it. Yeah, I don't know why, but it was just fine. I just easily transitioned then.
Well, I mean, I can see that because I was eating complete shit. Subway sandwiches, just Moe's, just eating all kinds of bread and carbs, and then I completely just cut them out in one day, and my body was just suffering for a while. But after that, like, 2-week period, if you don't go into a fast, the amount of energy you have is substantially higher than if you were just eating shitty food all the time.
Yeah. There's something to it. It's pretty interesting.
And it'll shred weight.
Yeah. I'm betting with the fasting for 48 hours beforehand, is your body is going into the first stages of ketosis or whatever.
Oh yeah, you are,
And
because you can test those little strips.
Yeah,
So
I
if you're
tested
in it-
mine.
Yeah, you're in it before, like, you're out of that fast. Like, you're in it faster doing that than you
Right.
are if you just switch to meat.
Yep.
It's crazy, though, with doing those testings, you can get out of ketosis so easily by slipping up even one time. Like, it'll knock you out of ketosis almost immediately if you eat a piece of bread or some shit. Like,
Yeah. Wait, when I was doing it, like, I was in it for, like, a month, and then I started working out. And, like, apparently, especially if you're doing, like, weightlifting, like, it doesn't test right. Like, you're not really out of ketosis, but if you pee and test it, like, soon after you worked out, it seems like you're out of it. And I kept doing it. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
I'm eating no carbs.
You peed on your strips? Did you say peed?
Yeah.
See, I did a blood test. It was like a little blood,
Oh.
like a finger prick.
No, these are like you buy them at Walgreens.
Yeah, no, I did this. I think you were doing your test wrong.
No way. You pee on it, man.
Mine was like a finger prick, and you put it in the thing, and it'll read the level of ketosis
No, this
you're
is
in.
like a little.
His
like,
involved a
pee
prick
strip.
too.
That was a good one.
That's
Little
funny.
one.
Yeah, no, I
Little
didn't
one.
never do the ones where I fucking pissed on it. Maybe I did it wrong.
It turned purple, didn't it?
That's funny.
Jason bought a bunch of pregnancy tests.
Yeah.
And didn't-
Yeah, he's like, they're all fucking positive. I guess I'm in ketosis.
Anyways.
I don't know how we got there.
Yeah, right. Back from the government fucking us.
All right, Daniel, I want you to explain to me the tests they did during the Spanish flu when they were trying to basically test germ theory.
Okay.
Run me through that.
All right.
If
I'm not
you
gonna
can.
get it exactly right, but basically, from what I understand, they did 3 separate tests with 100 individuals each, so 300 individuals total. The first test was swabbing their nose and throat
Of people who
were sick
with Spanish flu.
Yes, and then they took those exact same swabs and swabbed well people's noses and throats, and out of 100, no well person got sick. So they thought, well, maybe we need to have more of a realistic scenario, instead of actually just swabbing, we'll just have a well person and a sick person be very close to each other. And so they made them sit like right next to each other and breathe the same air and kind of just be in each other's faces for a certain period of time. I don't know exactly what the period of time was, but they did that 100 times, and out of the 100 cases, not one well person got sick from it. And then they ended up doing like I can't remember if it was collecting fluids and actually injecting them into people, or if they did it was maybe the second test was they were having people, when they were sitting uncomfortably close, they had them like take deep breaths and breathe their breath into the other person.
Yeah, I remember him saying
and so then when that didn't work, they decided they would collect bodily fluids from the areas where the infection was, like the nose and throat, and actually inject it into the well person. And out of 100 cases, still no well person got sick. So with that anecdotal evidence, the Spanish flu did not...
That's not quite anecdotal.
Not quite,
but...
I don't know. See, that's the weird thing about scientific stuff to me, and I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. At what point does it change from anecdotal to scientific evidence, right? Like, how many people do you need before you go, okay, well then that's a fact. That's no longer just one or two cases that acted funny. But anyway, so out of 300 people total, three different tests, no well person got sick by trying to pass it through a contagious type situation. So if that is the case, then why were people getting sick? Because, I mean, people did get sick, and they called it the Spanish flu.
It was like 50 million people died from Spanish flu or something
50
like that.
to 150. It was like
there are different. I think there are different numbers on that, but
it was a lot.
It was a lot. So the thing about it is one of the things that someone said about a possibility why they got sick was because they were setting up a power grid at the time, right?
Radio waves,
okay. Yeah. And it was a new form, never been there. They put this stuff out. What happens? You get a bunch of people start getting sick. Well, they start claiming that it's an actual flu, some sort of influenza that is causing this, which they're saying is a contagious thing. But when they do the tests, no one can get sick through a contagious situation or scenario. So it has to be something else causing the sickness. That's pretty insane there.
Yeah, I'll give you.
Pretty insane that that's the case. So what does that mean about this particular pandemic?
Well, I mean, like, I want to look more into the actual dates of all of the rollouts of 4G and 5G and all of that. But that picture that you sent was interesting. How the radio waves were the first, and you had the Spanish flu, and then I don't remember all of it, but then it was like,
well, when they came out with the original 1G or whatever, it was in the 1970s, and they had cholera or something like that,
and that was
breakout.
That was
H1N1 was 2009. That was the rollout of 4G.
Yeah, and then 5G comes out like a week before the corona pandemic.
Yep.
It seems like, and it said every time the electromagnetic field is manipulated, people are having respiratory issues.
Right. Pretty interesting. Now, the person who sent me that said that they went ahead and actually fact-checked that to see if the dates lined up with those rollouts, and they said that they did. And I don't think that person would lie to me about that.
Sure,
so,
yeah. I mean, I'm definitely going to look it up.
Yeah, I mean, I would say look it up for yourself, but the person who sent it to me said that they didn't want to just take it.
It lines up.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. That definitely lines up.
Yeah.
But he claimed that all the other ones lined up with those rollouts. So, I mean, coincidence?
And there are...
probably not.
I'm pretty sure it's documented, and you'd have to... I mean, I'm not sure where you'd find it, but there was a town where they set up a tower, and it was putting out some kind of waves, and they said it was to improve the mood of the townspeople. It was like a test that they were doing, which first off is fucking insane. Like, if I want to be in a bad mood, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, don't try to manipulate.
Improving my mood. but this was like, I'm like, someone, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's well documented that this was like a thing the government did and tested out like maybe back in the 80s or something like that. So they've been doing stuff like this, and I think it is maybe infrasound or something like that we haven't heard about. Right. That can manipulate people, cause people to be sick, because infrasound can cause you to be sick.
Yeah, it can also cause fear and dread and all sorts of things.
When's the last time you guys watched Kingsman?
I've never watched Kingsman. I don't know.
Have any of you seen it?
I've seen the first one.
It's weird how similar it is, basically, to what you guys are talking about. Because for the two of you that haven't seen it, it's a guy. He's the villain in the film, but he's implanting chips into phones that basically release a frequency that make you lose your mind. And it's exactly like the test you were just saying. It's almost like they blatantly put it in front of our faces. This was back in 2014, I think the film was made, but it's the same exact thing. He's trying to take the world over by giving free data and all of that stuff to all people.
Get a cell phone in everybody's pocket type of thing.
Get a cell phone with his chip in it,
yep.
And then he controls the frequencies of what it gives off, and then people start losing their minds, and they start killing each other and going crazy.
Everything has a vibration. Everything puts off a vibration, and so different vibrations affect other vibrations, and that this kind of stuff is beyond my understanding. I haven't looked into it enough,
right?
But it's shit that people have been studying and researching and weaponizing, I believe, for a long time.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, the whole 5G technology they've used before, and as like crowd control measures and things like that. I mean, the government has used those things. And it's pretty much the exact same
they
technology
have
as 5G.
Those military weapons that like make you throw up when they, like it's like some kind of wave that sends out and makes you sick and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
Yep.
Like it's absolutely insane.
I mean, I think too that just with cell phones in general, I think that there has been some sort of evidence pointing towards a certain type of brain cancer that you can get from holding your cell phone up to your ear constantly.
Sure.
Right. And that's insane in itself. So if that's the case, then we can definitely these frequencies cause some sort of interruption with what's going on and can be very harmful to human beings.
Have you guys ever seen the video of like the guy takes rice grains and puts it on a platform and then plays certain vibrations or frequencies of music?
Yeah.
Or sound at least, and it makes different patterns within the grains of sand. Like they form to a certain pattern on the sheet, and then as soon as he stops it, they'll scatter again, and then he'll do another frequency at higher frequencies, and then it'll change into a more complex shape. And it's insane. And then the other day I saw a video where a guy took a laser and he reflected it off of a balloon onto the wall, like a mirror. Something. Either way, he reflected it off of a mirror onto the wall, and under it was like a bass speaker, and he played different frequencies, and the laser on the wall would make different shapes and stuff. So obviously there's something there that we can't conceptualize,
right.
But
yeah, man.
No, dude, I think that there was a time where people could move large, unmovable objects with vibration, and I think we've lost that ability, that technology, that frequency, but I think that the story about the walls of Jericho was an example of that. I think they blew their trumpets and those walls literally crumbled due to the vibration, the bright vibration to make them crumble. Because this is technically true, right? If I could vibrate at the right frequency, I could walk through any wall or anything. If you can find the right frequency to vibrate that matches the frequency of the item that you're talking about, you could walk through it. Therefore, you could find a frequency to destroy anything. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not capable of that, but it's a fact.
Well,
right? So I think that whole vibration thing is a huge part of nature that we've either lost and lost the knowledge, or they're just keeping it from us, which is most likely.
Well, that doesn't sound far-fetched. You can break a glass by singing at a certain frequency and a certain vibration or sound.
On a, that's a much lower level, but on its base level can be proven.
Yeah.
just by that.
And that's what I was
Right.
going to say. And
So-
back to, you said we've lost that technology or knowledge at least. This is just a random question. Did any of you guys know that the Pyramid of Giza is actually 8-sided?
Yes, I didn't know that.
That's interesting.
Yes, it's very interesting.
And especially the way that it's built and like how it's built, and that's what I was going to get into, the amount of like the 90-degree angles and everything that those sophisticated, they had to have been smarter than us, because from what I've looked into, our technology to this day can't do what they did.
You can't.
And I absolutely agree that we've lost knowledge of, they were at least a lot more enlightened than we were. They might not have had the cell phones and the internet
Sure.
and stuff, but they had a knowledge that was way more of a
Useful.
higher, yes, literally. They're way more in tune with the earth
Yeah.
to do things that were something that we could never fathom.
What are those wall structures called that are like almost like mosaic pieces of like they're
Polygonal
like puzzles?
walls.
Yeah, the polygonal walls. Have you seen those?
They're all over the world.
They're all over the world.
Well, then I think I know what you're talking
and
about.
they're it's unbelievable when you look at them because it just doesn't make sense. Like these stones fit perfectly. You couldn't fit a piece of paper through the cracks. And they're giant ones. They're small little walls. They're all over the world. They're in Egypt. They're everywhere. And it's just like, how in the fuck did they do that?
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
first of all, like, why was it that people from all different places of the world who supposedly weren't
In
able
contact.
to travel and
Yeah.
contact each other doing the
We're
same
all
designs?
doing the same thing, and it's
Whether or
nearly
not-
Had the same
identical.
quote unquote technology.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we do that today with us. Like, if you look at cities, right? Like, of course, the buildings are slightly different,
Yeah.
but you look at all your major cities. There's still you could go, all right. Well, these people are in contact with each other because they're all building major cities that are very similar. Skyscrapers
there's a
are a
skyline
thing.
in New York. There's a skyline in Tokyo. There's a skyline in Australia.
Dubai.
Like you could see it all over the world, but it's not everywhere. But so you could tell that okay, they all know that this is something that we can do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's there's so much evidence of that in the ancient world.
Well, no, I've been actually digging into that a lot here recently, or watching a lot of stuff on it, and the guy break it down and talking about like how they would have had to have laser precision cuts of like they cut like cylinders into a lot of their stuff that were
drill
like
holes
there's
and stuff.
absolutely no way that they or we could do that right now into the stone that they were drilling into.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he breaks down, like he shows the tools that they were supposedly using. It's like that alone, that one drill would take fucking literally probably forever because they couldn't do it as perfect as they did it with what we know that they had.
Yeah.
Does that mean aliens, or does that mean they, have you seen about how they talk about the limestone that coated the pyramids and how it was like an electromagnetic something, how like it basically they were having free energy and what's the word if I don't have a cord plugged into the wall, it's like
wireless?
Basically wireless sources of electricity.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely believe the pyramid is a machine.
By the way,
it probably is.
This is something that I was always taught, is that those were gravestones, or I mean those were tombs, but those pyramids were never used for tombs ever, not one
Most
time.
definitely not. There's no
That's proven
decorations in them. There's
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane to claim that they are tombs.
The Sphinx was built long before the pyramid.
Yes, I've seen that as well, and
They
the
didn't
way
have
that
head on
it
originally,
erodes
I don't
is
think.
they've proven that it had to have been underwater for a long time,
Or at least rained on for a long time.
Yes, it wasn't a desert for a while.
But the last time that particular area had that type of rainfall was over 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, which is absurd to think that it's been.
I mean, Robert Schoch was like the big geologist who kind of blew that whole thing out of the water when he came in and was like, no, that is definitely not wind erosion. That's water erosion.
That's what I'm
and the
talking
last time that any type of rain could have caused something like this was over 10,000 years ago.
How do they know it was 10,000 years ago?
Based on weather patterns, they can track backwards based on celestial things.
Shit.
I don't fucking know.
I'm just wondering.
Good question.
It is a good question, but I think they can look back and go, this place has been a desert for the past 10,000 years. So the only way it could have had rainfall on it would have been predating 10,000 years, and it would have had to have been a lot of fucking rainfall to cause that type of erosion. So you're talking about not just 10,000 years ago when it all stopped, but possibly even a few thousand years before that. So you're looking, anywhere from 12 to 15,000 years ago at the earliest that the Sphinx
Was standing.
Was standing. Could have been even much older than that. There's no way to know. Oh, they definitely know that the head was resculpted. So the head that you see on the Sphinx is not the original head. It doesn't fit the body. It's much smaller, so it was recarved.
I think it was a lion originally.
Probably, but I mean, it does face towards Leo, where the constellation of Leo would have been 10,000 years ago.
So it was a lion.
So probably.
Have you seen, I don't know what they call the line, but basically the line around the globe that all of these ancient architectural things are lined up literally in a perfect line? Like you could take a piece of yarn and around the entire world they line up all of these different places that these kind of structures were built. They're all on that exact line. It's crazy.
I mean, if that's
There's
the
so
case,
much
there's
weird,
no.
like,
it's
That's
so
not
weird.
a coincidence.
Stuff.
No,
like that,
absolutely
yeah.
not. Absolutely not.
The little knobby things on stuff.
Dude, yeah,
all across the world.
There are
Knobby.
little knobs on bricks in South America, in Japan, in India. They're all over the place, and they're not on every single brick. So some people will claim that, the knobs were used to transport them. But if that's the case, then why weren't there knobs on all the bricks?
Also were like
They're not.
some of them aren't like, they're not like very prominent.
Yeah.
So they would be the worst handle ever.
Yeah,
to
it's like
carry
a rounded off
massively
knob that
heavy
would
brick.
slip off.
Like it's not. Yeah, it's not like you would square off something, or at least make it long where you
So
could
you
actually
can hold
get a grip
it. So
on it.
you guys are just trying to say that it's weird that they all had that same
It was
type
like-
It's
of.
weird
it
that
was
there
a-
are
it was
knobs
like
all
a
over the world
signature.
on bricks.
You know what I mean? It was like an architectural signature
Yeah.
almost all across the world that you can find. Not that I'm saying it was one person that did it.
Yeah.
But it's
People are
weird
in
that
contact
they were
of some
doing
sort.
this one thing, but it didn't. It doesn't really seem like there was a reason for it. Which, I mean, who knows? But like, it's very odd for sure.
I mean, there has to have been a reason for it. We just don't know what the reason was.
Exactly.
And it definitely wasn't for just picking up the stones,
No.
because they're not on every stone. If there was a knob on every stone, I could go, well, maybe. You know what I mean? But there isn't. There's a wall with only knobs on a few of the stones on the wall. So
and they're everywhere.
and this is
Around the
they're in
world.
all
Yeah.
sorts of places around the world.
Climb up the wall.
Maybe.
That's
But
what
they're-
they were
but
doing rock
like,
climbing. That's
it would be
obviously
like-
what it was.
would be
That's
like
what
a
it was,
wall
yeah.
that's
They built it for rock
2
climbing.
feet off the ground, and there'd be like a couple of knobs in certain spots. Like, you know what I mean? Not like in just weird, all different types of architecture that you would find these little knobs on things. Like not, it was very, very strange.
Yeah. Definitely weird. Why would they be all over the world if people weren't talking about that or something? They weren't in contact with someone who built a wall like that. Oh, we're going to build our wall like that too. That's a good way to build a wall. There's a code in that or something. Maybe it's similar to like Braille or something. You know what I mean? Like maybe you could read it.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's definitely interesting.
I think that's the more intelligent we get about our past, the stranger and stranger things get. And it's almost weird because you like watch a movie and you're like, just imagine your world being like that. But I think that the world we actually live in is so much stranger than anything I've ever seen televised.
Oh yeah.
That, and nobody, obviously everyone's so brainwashed to think but when you look at all of these coincidences and all of these things that are lining up, you're like, what in the fuck really went on?
I mean, at a certain point, you have to go, they're not a coincidence.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. In
It's not.
quotations, coincidences.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
it's
Mark
insane.
Passio says something about people who bitch about conspiracy theorists. Well, if you're not a conspiracy theorist, you're a coincidence theorist. And like he said to me, that's
More absurd.
crazier
Yeah.
than being a conspiracy theorist. Everything is just coincidence. There's
Yeah.
there's nothing actually going on. It's all just random.
Yeah, yeah.
That's insane.
And it just
That's
happens-
insanity.
It's a
yeah.
monkey on a typewriter, Caleb.
Just
They're going to
clicking.
eventually produce all the works of Shakespeare. Give them that.
I'll give you.
Who the fuck said that?
I don't know. Jordan Peterson says bullshit, though. He
Of course it's
didn't elaborate.
bullshit. There's no way that that's possible. You give a monkey a typewriter, and he'll never ever duplicate.
Well, no, it's
anything
absolutely
Well,
possible, but
under
an infinite amount
yeah,
of times.
yeah.
Are you talking about just taking letters and then rearranging them into
No.
Shakespeare?
No, they
because
would
there's no
type.
way they're going to actually.
no, like
With infinite
randomly hitting keys.
with infinite time, they absolutely would.
No.
It's the same as the multiverse theory.
You have to have a
Hold up, let me finish. It's the same as the multiverse theory.
Theory.
Exactly. I'm trying to explain this to you. Calm the fuck down, sir. If there are infinite amount of universes, right? Parallel universes, and that means that every possibility throughout time is going to happen. Everything ever will happen. Then it's the same scenario as we're building with this. With an infinite amount of time, every possibility that monkey could type on the typewriter will eventually be typed. Because it's hitting it. Eventually, every possibility will happen with an infinite amount of time. That's the point of it.
Yeah, it's a stupid point.
And
To me, it's not.
It's a non-provable point.
But it's like, what is the point?
Well, if you can, no one can really conceive what infinity would actually look like. But if we could wrap our heads around it, that would be an obvious thing that you'd say, oh yeah, that's obvious that would end up happening.
Right.
So it's not a stupid idea.
I mean, it seems like something that could never be proven.
Well,
I mean, it's
are
just
you saying like infinity can never be proven?
no, just the
Because if
fact
that's
that-
proven, then you could. It's so easy to wrap your head around the fact that if an infinite amount of time happened, they could obviously do that. They would write every single book that was ever written.
Dan, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know.
Yeah, like, can you fix that?
The eyes stuck together.
Can you quit touching my eyes?
It's cool. Alcohol kills
Just
everything.
finger all his eyes.
There's no way not to finger
Listen,
all
all
the
I
eyes.
know is that is not social distancing.
Yeah, no, you're just.
I just told you viruses aren't real.
You've got me feeling better now. That you're just fucking taking your nasty bare hand over my eyes.
See, and I watched a decent part of that video, and I want to finish it. And it was very, very interesting. That experiment is very interesting, but like, I'm still not sold on it 100%.
And I'm not either. Definitely not,
It
but-
seems like there are, like, I've experienced things of, but I have no way of knowing. But it just, on the surface, at least, it seems like I've caught stuff from someone,
Right.
From germs.
It does-
passed from one thing to
It
another.
does seem that way, and I think
now-
everyone would
and
have
he,
it.
He explained it as, if you went out and a bunch of people ate at a restaurant and then they all went home and most of them got sick and were throwing up or whatnot, like, you wouldn't say they all gave each other something. It was food poisoning. They all ate the same thing. That was very clearly a common denominator that caused them to get sick. It's a lot harder to know that in other cases, so people just attribute it to contagion. It was passed on. Now, I get that, but it's still like he can't prove it. He was kind of saying that, like, I don't know what is exactly causing this, and so it's crazy. It's a crazy topic, but it's definitely something I'm going to keep looking into. But
It'd be interesting to look into the amount of 5G towers that are in New York and in all of these highly infected places right now to see if there is a correlation. Because, I mean, they could
Pull it
say
up, Jason.
if contagion isn't a factor, maybe it is, like you were saying, the frequencies or the vibrations. All of these people are getting affected from that.
It could even be our diets, the horrible shit that they put in all different kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, cultures have the
that
same
cause
type
us,
of...
that are poisons, essentially. Like, there's formaldehyde in paper towels. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of things we're exposed to that could make our bodies weaker, that then these things come and try to fight, and then they test you and go, oh, these things are actually helping you. Oh, that's coronavirus that's killing you.
Yeah.
So it's like, it could be a number of things. I have no idea what's causing
I'm actually
it, but
really interested in what
I
you're
want
looking
to
up.
read something real quick. It's Cox postulates, and this
watch
is
your
like
mouth, son.
this is what I believe is like the germ theory, and these things have to be present in order for this to be something that could be contagious, right? So the first one is the bacteria must be present in every case of the disease. The bacteria must be isolated from the host with the disease and grown in a pure culture, which they've not done with COVID-19. The specific disease must be reproduced when a pure culture of the bacteria is inoculated into a healthy, susceptible host, which was not able to be done during the Spanish flu. So if you miss any of those three, and they don't line up to a T with these three, then it's not a contagious bacteria or virus. And definitely COVID-19 does not line up with this because they have not separated it and grown it in a pure culture. Because all they've done with COVID-19 so far is take organic material from someone who they claim has it and show you what it looks like when it infects organic material, which we know can be exosomes that look exactly like what they claim COVID-19 looks like. Exosomes are something that your own body produces when you have toxins in your system. The exosomes actually fight the toxins to make you get better, but they unfortunately look like viruses, or what people claim viruses look like. And so you have this big giant scam going on right now.
So I can't find how many towers are there, but there was an article written November 6th, 2019, and it says officials say New York City is on track to be a 5G city.
One more time.
I can't find how many towers are there, but they were writing articles in November talking about how New York City was on track to be a 5G city. And like, there's all kinds of crap
So
about
they
that.
were putting up towers, starting to work on it in November of last year.
Austin sent me something about how since this pandemic, I can't remember if it was 30 or 60% or times the amount of towers that were up are now up, but they're putting them up rapidly while all this stuff is going on.
Yeah, they are.
Which is, to me,
The guy that I was watching was like, man, he was like, we're supposed to be essential. He's like, I see people working on these 5G towers all the time.
yeah, no, it's that to me that's weird because way before this pandemic ever happened, and before I can't remember who brought it to my attention that it could be caused from frequency.
Look at that shit.
What is that?
That's 5G tower.
That's the map.
Yeah.
Is it around New York more than anything?
That's the biggest.
Let me see the. Yeah, where there's not much. I just showed them earlier in the video. They kind of hotspotted that area for COVID cases.
Did they really?
And all this was pretty much empty, and then the West Coast. That's insane, guys. Oh shit! Washington is completely covered in 5G towers.
Yep.
See, and that I was thinking about this just as an idiot, just thinking like, oh shit, maybe they can transmit this disease through our cell phones. Like if they really want to infect someone and kill them with it, they could do it through our cell phones if that's the truth. And that could possibly be the truth. I mean, if that's really, if they can send frequencies through cell phone, if that stuff kind of...
And here's the thing. I think the cell phones just kind of help to boost the signals. I think the towers are out there sending the signals out. You don't even have to have a cell phone for it to be affecting you.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that,
yeah.
but I'm saying like, just me being dumb in a car ride, I was thinking, what if they could, if they really wanted to kill me, they could just send some fucking coronavirus through my phone. If like that's actually how people are being infected by it.
Yeah.
I wonder how China and Italy and shit like that look like when it comes to the...
I'm pretty sure China
The
rolled
5G maps.
5G out.
I
before
don't know
this.
that this is true. Well, I can probably look it up, but the guy I was watching said Wuhan was the first 5G city.
If that's the truth, it's just a huge coincidence, guys.
100%.
That's all that is.
Jason found the map, Daniel, for the 5G towers. And I had just watched that video earlier before I came, and he was going through the John Hopkins COVID map
Right.
of cases, and it almost perfectly lines up. like the Midwest is not very much, but I remember he zoomed in a little bit in Colorado where they have a decent number of COVID cases, and that was a big, like a decent hot spot right there for towers. New York was like one of the biggest. Washington was one of the biggest. The West Coast, and then kind of like the Southeast was kind of peppered slightly, kind of like the map is for the COVID cases.
Look at this bullshit too from Google. Okay, so I Googled. I said, "What was the first 5G city?" That's all I said. Didn't Google anything else. First one, coronavirus. Here's why science says 5G didn't cause COVID-19.
I didn't ask you that.
Here's the next one. Well, then there's a couple just about 5G, and then the Wuhan coronavirus has nothing to do with 5G. Who was the first to let's see. China launches 5G networks. And then there's another one. No, 5G is not causing coronavirus or anything else. Like I didn't ask you that.
Yeah. Why are you trying to defend yourself so fucking hard, Google?
That is fucking insane.
Of course it's fucking causing it.
What's funny is I don't think that I have Googled anything on here about 5G and the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's just
That's
this
insane.
is kind of like an old thing, because back in 2012 when the Mayans supposedly, from what we knew at the time, predicted the end of the world, they weren't predicting the end of the world. They were predicting a new enlightenment, and that the frequency in which we vibrate on, or whatever, in which the earth vibrates on, is going to change. And since then, I'm pretty sure it's quadrupled. I might be wrong. I have to look at the exact numbers, but it also affects our perception of time. And that's why everyone's like, literally years are snapping by. And like, it's obvious that frequency can manipulate or not, but like affect our perception of a lot of things.
Oh, yes. 100%.
And so I just think that's interesting. And then all of you got to think about it. If we could see like actual radio waves and the cell phone towers and what they're emitting, we would just be in a huge microwave.
I wouldn't be able to see you.
Exactly. It would just be microwaves.
It would be blocking my view of you sitting across the table if we could see all of the stuff around
That's what's
us.
crazy. And I don't know what a bioweapon is, but it has to fucking do with that stuff. Maybe I'm absolutely wrong, but it has to do with frequency or wavelength or something.
I think it's a better theory than germ theory, what you have going on right now.
I mean, fuck, like I said, but that's also, from what I've read, there's a level 4 bioweapons lab in Wuhan, and that's exactly where the outbreak started.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a coincidence.
Do you guys really think it started in Wuhan, though?
No, I think that it was man-made, to be honest.
But even so, do you think it was man-made in Wuhan? Do you think that China did this? Because I think that's the biggest lie of all of it.
This is what I said with
probably not
when I was talking to my dad.
Well, here's the thing: if this has anything to do with what we just said,
came from China.
It's not racist at all. Came from China.
That isn't racist to say, but if the cause of this does have to do with toxins or radio waves or electromagnetic fields, then no, it didn't start in China. It didn't.
Yeah,
the 5G tower started in China, and if it has anything to do with that, then
if that's the case,
then
yes.
Something that's happening worldwide.
Yes,
and I think it's more globalist Illuminati.
Absolutely, this has nothing to do with China trying to fuck up the rest of the world or trying to do some sort of.
And I think the China came out and said that the U.S. military brought it to China. I don't believe that, but I believe it more than it started in China and it's China's fault. You know what I mean?
Then that,
like, it was so funny to me because I was like, I mean, maybe they did, but it's not. There isn't a virus that was put out and then started to spread. I don't really think that.
Well, it goes back to what you said about globalization and the elites and the global. I was telling my dad yesterday, I'm like, if you don't think that the world leaders today are not talking as much as me and my roommates are, you're a fucking lunatic. You actually think they're all enemies? No, they have absolutely not. If you actually really think that all the wars and all that we're actually fighting all the time, not a fucking chance. They probably got a group message and they're talking right now.
Here's both sides of the war. The people in power across the world and the citizens of the world. Those are the two enemies on each side. You know what I mean? The governments are not enemies against each other.
Absolutely not. If you don't think that they're working together at all times to try to figure out how to get more power and control.
I'm sure that they screw each other over here.
Yes,
and there.
for sure.
I'm not sure about that. See, I think the Illuminati, I think that it's not just one group. I think there may be a few different groups, and that's why.
Well, I'm sure there's inner conflict and maybe some shoot-off things that have happened, but I think that there's one overarching one that's winning.
Why?
Because
we've
working.
been slaves for thousands of years, and they've continued to keep us there.
Yeah, no, but I'm not saying that that's not the case, but they don't seem to be working together. Like China
Of course not.
and Russia don't seem to be working with America and the UK. Like, so what I'm saying is, maybe instead of one...
Why do you think that?
In 1984, the two sides didn't seem to be working together.
But they were.
We don't know that they were, do we?
Yeah, in
It's been a long
1984?
time since I've read that, but
Yes.
everything
About that was all fabricated.
well, yes, but you only knew that from their standpoint.
No.
No, you only knew that once he found out about all of it.
And it was
Who is he? By the way, elaborate.
Yeah, they were
Winston. They were switching the enemy every so often, but they weren't ever actually enemies. It was a plan between all three of them. War is peace.
I understand.
We continue to keep war, but they weren't
that.
actually at war with each other.
That's not what I got from that. Like, because like it would be like the same as right now. There's ISIS is the enemy, and then that's what it was 5 years ago, and now it is ISIS is actually better than what's the Syria guy Assad. So we're funding them. Like that's I didn't get that when I read that book, and it's been a while, I didn't get that those three were working together as much as this dude's government was lying to him. Then he said, no, this was always the way that it was.
No, but it wasn't. But it's the only way that works is if the governments are working together.
Yes,
why?
right.
It was
Because you have to keep the lie up.
It was agreement of, hey,
my
we're going to
government-
keep these wars going
Exactly.
endlessly to control our population.
Your particular government cannot say we are at war with East Asia, and then tomorrow say, no, we're not at war with East Asia anymore. We're at war with so-and-so,
because
unless everyone is in cooperation
they
with
weren't
switching.
Just stopping wars, they were switching allies in the book.
Yes, I know.
Once it was they
Which
were
means
enemies,
they were
and then
never
immediately
enemies
they were
in the
allies.
first place.
Yes, I know that. I understand.
So they had an agreement to continue that cycle.
The only
Are you
people
sure? Because I think that stuff like that could happen, and it not be that they were allies or whatever. Like I think that there is,
but I mean,
a good chance that all of these. I do think that like the concept of the Illuminati is right. It seems like to me that there may be 2 or 3 of them that are struggling for power from the other ones. And while they're doing that, they're keeping their respective populations under control, but they want all of it.
I don't think so.
And that's why I think they do stuff like the freaking when Saudi Arabia and Russia just dropped their freaking oil prices so low because they already have enough money coming out of that. They just dropped it so low to kill U.S. production of oil. And it drops all of the oil prices that way. And they're trying to bleed them out of it. I think that kind of shit happens, but there's just different factions or whatever.
I can't think of a good analogy.
Man, but I don't know.
But I want to put it in the perspective of, imagine you were the one in power.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, say, 15 other big powers. I don't even think there's probably 15, but say there's 15 other. You don't think you'd be in contact with them and talking to them constantly of how can we hold this power and control the people within our population?
But you don't think even as they're doing that, they're wanting to fucking knife the other guy and be the one dude?
I get where you're coming from when you say that you think, yes, everyone's trying to power grab, but I'm on the side
they're
of
smarter than that, and I think that they realize that that's only going to end up hurting them in the long run.
Yes, let me get on my point real
together
quick.
with these superpowers is better than not, and you want to act as enemies but not really be enemies.
That would be the best strategic play if you were actually in power and that was the way you looked at it. And when you look at America, it's always been the land of the free and the savior to all other countries. I think truly that we are supposed to be the good guy, and everyone's agreed with that.
But you're saying that as an American.
No.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that that's what we are. I'm saying I think that that's the role we've played since the beginning of the United States.
And I think
the
at least
Palestinians think that.
I think some Palestinian people might. I think people across the world think that America is a place where you can go and you can live the American dream.
Yeah, that's why we have
a lot of people
mass
want to come
immigration
here, right? Because this is the place where freedom exists, where they can go and they don't have to be under the thumb of their own government, because they think this government allows more freedoms. That is a staple about what the United States of America is
to us.
No, but that is to
all across the world.
Absolutely, all across the world, people believe that.
I don't. Someone just told me this, but there were people protesting in some Middle Eastern country, and they had like quotes on their signs in English from our forefathers.
Oh yeah, I mean, like
and they were.
China,
it was about wanting liberty. It was give me liberty or give me death is what it was.
Yeah.
And so they look up to that American dream, that
well,
American freedom.
Well, so this is what I was trying to get the point across, was that we've always played that role. And I get where you're saying, why wouldn't everybody want to grab the power, right? And you think there's different factions of quote-unquote Illuminati. But I think that everyone has kind of come to the agreement that we let them play that role. They've played it for the beginning of the United States, and to me, I think that everyone's kind of already agreed, all right, we'll let... I don't know how to word this, but I think that everyone's kind of agreed that the United States is the ones that will win and take over as the New World Order. And everyone's kind of already said, all right, we give you that reign. But if you
because they've so falsely put what the United States is. It's not the land of the free, home of the brave.
Absolutely.
It's the land of the fee, home of the slave.
Absolutely.
It has been. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. But yes, they do play it like this is the place. So I mean, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, but I mean, I get that that's, but I just don't know. I don't know. I see them fighting too much, because they are fighting these proxy wars in different places and maneuvering in ways that I don't know why they're doing that.
But does not the governments of both sides benefit in all of these wars?
That's what I was going to say.
And here's the thing.
Yes, they do.
Yes,
so
the
war is profitable.
Yes, so
but that doesn't mean that.
So who gets screwed?
Also, proxy wars are fought in countries that probably don't have anyone representing the Illuminati in them, because they're not that important to the grand scheme of things.
That's
and you know, a lot of these proxy wars are fought, and you have to look at who benefits the most from them, and it's. I mean, I just don't see that as them actually being against each other, and because my point is that not every country in the world is a part of the Illuminati, and their government is being controlled by the Illuminati and all of that.
But with like Syria probably isn't at all.
Yes.
But the fact that there was and is a proxy war being fought there between us and Russia, because like this isn't common knowledge. Like, ask most people walking around what a proxy war is. They don't know. They think we're fighting Assad in Syria.
Sure.
Because he gassed his own people.
But it's not hurting the U.S. government and the Russian government for their respective soldiers to be killing each other.
No, I don't think it is either.
It keeps up the thing that they're enemies when they're actually not. And that's
I'm not saying
point.
for sure they are, but I'm saying that makes more sense to me, especially just with human nature.
Man,
well, like who acts like that? Who if you've got two groups of people in different countries, just take China and America.
I think you're looking at them as two different groups, but they're not.
This is what I was about to say.
But
they are one group.
You can never gain completely if you're separated into three different. Three is just the number you used of, say, three different segregations of the quote-unquote Illuminati. You're never going to gain from that because you're always fighting. Someone has to take the main reins of the operation, right? And you're going to gain regardless. If I was to make a deal with someone and he was going to be the face of it, but I was still gaining everything that he was, it doesn't matter who's the face of it.
See, I kind of disagree with that. Like, I think that goes against what human nature is, and like the whole Jordan Peterson hierarchy stuff.
I agree. But what I'm saying is, if you've come to the realization that I'm never gonna win if I'm fighting this, let's talk about Tiger King for a second. You're never gonna win if you're fighting this organization or this group of people. You give into it and you play along with it, and now everyone's winning. Mm-hmm. And I think
maybe until one bastard's like, hey, I could just own all of this. And
Yeah,
I think
but
that's how human nature works.
I don't think that stuff will start happening until they've taken complete control.
Exactly.
Of the
That's what
world.
I'm trying to say.
Then you'll have
They
people
have
starting.
for the most part. This
Here's the thing, though.
exact-
The fact that what's happening right now is happening tells me that they're completely organized on each other's sides, because the entire world has the same protocols. There's not one country that's doing stuff different than other countries.
Or even
They're all
calling
doing the
us a
same
hoax
shit.
or saying anything.
Yeah,
They're all
but
playing the
I'm-
same narrative.
Yes,
Which
that's
means
fine,
they're
but-
all being told what the narrative is by a single entity, and they're all following it. No one's bucking the system. There's not
And
one
I
country
think-
bucking the
I think
system.
where the human nature of power struggles come into play is, I'm sure there have been power shifts within the Illuminati numerous times, but I think that it's remained one solid organization throughout. And I'm sure there's been backstabbings and changes and things and this and that, but it's because people are always going to want to be the man, always going to be the one on top. You know what I mean? You're always going to have that, but I don't. And if there have been breaks and splits in it, I think one or the other side has eradicated the other very quickly.
Exactly.
But that's not how other things work. Like
They don't
did you
work
listen
like
to-
anything.
have you
The
li-
Illuminati doesn't work like
but it-
anything.
What does that
else
mean
in the
though,
world.
Man? They're still humans. It's still human nature, and especially
They're
if
not.
you want to talk about how evil
They're not
they are.
though. They're not.
Dude.
They're humans that have knowledge that
They have-
other 7 billion people do not have.
But that doesn't
They're
mean-
humans that live by a different creed
They're-
than the other 7
yeah.
billion people do not live by.
Okay, fine. Take that. Okay, so have y'all listened to that guy? He was on Joe Rogan, the black dude that has like converted all these KKK members.
Yeah.
I watched a
Okay.
clip
I
or
hadn't
two
seen
off
it.
of it. Yeah.
Couple
Anyway,
clips.
he was telling about like how he's talked to these people and converted different ones,
Mm-hmm.
and then he talks about how like the Klan like has separated, and how there's different like even in like the same state sometimes there's different warring factions in the state, and they don't recognize each other even though they have the same goal seemingly and they want to be the ones in control.
Yeah, and this happens through all over the world in all different religions and cultures.
Yeah.
You've got all different. I don't
Sure.
know the exact the Shiites and the what is it, the Sunnis.
Sunnis.
They believe 99.9% the same.
Yeah,
There's
Baptists
one
and Presbyterians.
aspect of it, and they've been at war for years. But the Illuminati
Democrats and
is
Republicans.
different. There's no difference between Democrats and Republicans. They're the same thing.
Bro, you're
Absolutely.
crazy.
But that's
Trump
what we're
2020.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
But
Like they,
the Illuminati is different. Their knowledge is beyond anything. They're not.
does knowledge change human nature?
Yes,
I think that it can.
absolutely.
I think that it can, because I think that
You
lack
can-
of knowledge creates a certain type of nature
Okay.
in humans.
Okay.
And so if we, you know what I mean, they have knowledge that we don't have access to, therefore their priorities and their capabilities of getting shit done is much greater than
let me
what
ask you
we're
this
capable
question.
of.
Let me ask you this question. Like, how much more knowledge do we have? I'm not talking like way back like we were talking about before, like people that built the pyramids and everything.
Maybe they have that knowledge though.
Okay.
That's
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like just as a society, how much more knowledge do we have than somebody that was in the 1500s? Exponentially, right?
Well, it depends on what you define as knowledge. Do you mean modern technology knowledge? Knowledge about what? Knowledge about the universe?
We have
Knowledge
access
about
to-
the human
to all of
consciousness?
the- yeah.
Knowledge about
Knowledge
spirit?
about germ theory.
I mean, what knowledge
Well,
is a
you have
very
this thing
broad
in your
term.
pocket that can access anything, right?
Sure.
And we have all this knowledge. Are people behaving that much differently than they
But
were
the-
back then?
But there's so much misinformation and so much.
So you don't think they have that? You don't think that extrapolates up into like the Illuminati and that stuff?
You don't think. What? Rephrase your question. I'm confused.
I'm saying, like what you said earlier was knowledge changes human nature, like that because
Lack
they
of knowledge.
Okay, well, I mean that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
same thing. Same. You
So-
can look at it both sides.
So,
Sure.
that being the case, like I don't think people in the 1500s were behaving any differently than people right now are behaving, and we have so much more knowledge. So, at what point do you get
we don't
enough
have
knowledge
any-
that it changes human behavior?
But
The
that's
knowledge
my
that
thing
the
is
public had in 1500s, I guarantee, isn't much different than the knowledge we have now as regular civilians.
That's I agree.
And obviously, like he was saying, modern medicine, fucking, what else did you refer to? Yes, that kind of knowledge we can all find on our cell phones and stuff.
I'm talking about
spiritual and connective to the
truths.
You're talking about.
universe.
You're
Yes,
talking
truths
about.
of the
I'm not
Exactly.
saying any of that stuff though. You're like, to say that they had more back then. That's not true. Like
Not
if you-
more,
if you
not
were an
more.
average-
The masses are always given the same
no, but
throughout
you have-
history because there are people who do know the mysteries of the world and they keep that hidden. And
Okay, but
those
you can
people,
access so much more of that now than if you were some
Not
surf
really.
in the 1500s. How not?
because when I surf the web, I can't find what the fuck's actually going
That's
on
'cause you're
behind
on
closed
TikTok.
doors.
I mean, you just Googled where the 5G towers were, and they gave you 15 articles about 5G doesn't
I
cause
understand
corona.
that Google, but that's because Google is
There's
is
so much
curating that, right?
Yes.
But I could dig.
And
like,
who
give
is
me
telling
until the
Google
next-
to do that?
Okay, that's fine.
Who owns
I
And
Google?
who has been
understand.
doing that for thousands of
I
years in every
Spreading
medium
disinformation.
possible when it comes to
giving you the
public
knowledge they want you
I'm
to
not
know,
saying-
not the knowledge that they know.
The
I'm
Catholic
not saying-
Church has manipulated information and given what they wanted to people
I-
for centuries
I
or for
understand
hundreds
all
of
this.
years.
I think all of these are operating pretty much the same way, and I feel like we've gotten really deep into a semantic argument here.
Well,
that doesn't really matter, but that they're. I just think that I don't think it's one group. I think it's a few different groups
Okay.
that are warring for power.
I just
But
wanna
think
say
they
this.
behave-
If that's the case,
Best
they'll
quote I've
say
ever
it.
heard. Let me just say this. I've been wanting
If
to say
that's
this
the case, they won't. This wouldn't be happening because that's the way that the masses
There'd be
react.
two different pandemics going on right now.
Exactly. The way the masses react is the way you're talking about. They are organized. They have one goal in mind, and they are bringing it to fruition at the moment. If they were disorganized the way that you're claiming that they are, that there's multiple different ones that want all the power, this would never work and we would be okay. But from what's happening right now, I can say, no, they're definitely organized.
But you're taking a snapshot of a microcosm of like the past month. Like you don't know what's going to happen in 2 months. Once like if this keeps going in this direction, like you don't know.
This
if
could
there's
just
gonna
be the first
conflict
test.
there.
This could be the first test of them trying to see how the public reacts. Now
Sure.
that we've all rolled over, this is something that will happen the rest of our lives.
If
I
the more
don't
they
this
think
is
we'll
over.
ever go back.
It's
I
never
agree
going to go
about that.
back to the same because
I-
we already rolled,
I completely
which means
agree.
they are organized. This
I
is
agree.
just them testing
let me
to
say
see if
one
their
fucking
fucking
thing.
minions
No.
and peasants will do what
kill
they tell
somebody.
them to do.
If you cannot beat them, join them. All I had to say for like the last 20 minutes, if you cannot fucking beat them, join them. That's exactly why everyone's on the same page.
Ethan, it's a big fucking club and you're not in it, as George Carlin said.
I would love to be in the club. By the way, if you're listening on my cell phone right now, I would love to join. And
That's
I'm
what
telling
Joe
you,
Rogan said, and then they got him.
I'm not.
Yep.
I'm literally
You
not.
join
I'm not
for
joking though.
aliens.
Listen
Yep.
to me. If you cannot fucking beat them, join them. And I truly think that we do have the best technology in the world. We do have a lot of the things that that sheepless Americans think we stand for. Yes, but that's what makes us the greatest. We're the greatest in the sense that we're the best and we're the most. We have the most morality, but is it moral? We don't have the highest morals, but we absolutely are the best in all senses. And I think that if you cannot beat them, you join them.
I think a lot of
And you
people
can gain-
who
you
are
can
high up, right, who have lots of money, they get approached, and it's like you said, you can't beat them. You better join our side, or we take you out.
And I've said this
And then
before.
you
If
have-
somebody came
yes.
to me with $50 million and said,
understand that, but once you're in there, like you can separate.
No, you die if you separate.
you either
there is
join
no-
them or
once
you're
you
fucking
have-
defeated.
How like I don't understand why this big Illuminati behaves differently than the microcosms that I see in everyday life.
because they have knowledge that is different than what we
They
have.
have the occulted knowledge
They have
that
things.
has
Okay.
been hidden.
They
for
have the
thousands
answers.
I
and
don't
thousands
think
of
that
years.
changes human
Listen.
nature.
But
bullshit.
What about
It
what
definitely
about the
does.
evidence of ancient civilizations and how it appears how crazily advanced they were, and with all this stuff? And now we don't know their everyday inner workings, but
Okay.
that's the knowledge that these people still have, I believe.
I do
the
too.
knowledge that ancient civilizations had.
They have the
And
answers
if
that
we knew
are
how those
age-old.
civilizations were going, you would see that it was different. That those people.
Let's
So let me
let's
ask
talk
you a question.
hypothetically.
The way
Let's
people
say
are
that they
talking
do
or
have.
acting.
Let's,
I have a question in response to your stuff. What if that is the case, and they had that same knowledge back then, and it changed human nature to unite these people? How come those civilizations aren't still there?
I have no idea.
left.
I don't have the answer to that.
cataclysms.
Yeah,
Or they left.
That's
Or
actually most likely is the
Probably,
cataclysm.
most likely cataclysms. Yours could be possible
they
too.
could have left.
Maybe they
With
left.
that kind of technology, yeah, maybe. But with that kind of technology, couldn't you fend that off?
What I'm
Especially
s-
if you had one goal.
Jesse,
It's.
I just don't-
There is
I
no
don't-
do we-
knowledge to
Here's the
fend
thing.
off the creators.
Let me say
sending
one
that
thing.
Fucking
Okay.
meteor
If
into
I-
the planet and destroying everyone on it.
if I came to you,
There is no power greater than the universe.
The planet's still here.
But
could've went
the people
underground.
weren't. The planet will survive. It'll be here for a long time.
Ethan's flipping the fuck out.
I am, because if I came to you with that kind of knowledge as someone, say I'm an American, say I'm a part of the Illuminati, and we have, say in the USA, I'm part of a different division. Let's say that there were different divisions of the quote-unquote Illuminati. I hate using that fucking word, because then immediately you're disregarded for anything you say,
I
which is
agree.
fucking disgusting.
They don't.
But
Here's the thing too. They don't even go. They don't use that name. They don't call themselves
well,
the Illuminati.
So, anyways,
Well,
let's
there's a
we'll
few
just
factions,
use
so
it.
probably not all of
But
them.
anyway, say there's that faction, but I come to you with the kind of knowledge that I have of the connection between spirituality, and I can show you things that you've never seen in your entire life, from frequencies and beliefs and all of that stuff, and I can do all of that, whatever the fuck they had back then. I can show you that stuff. You're gonna immediately say, I'm on board with you.
I don't think that I would.
Well,
If I showed you something that was, if I levitated a coin right in front of your face right now, you would say,
Ethan,
I want to know how to do this.
I'm not arguing that. I think that that's true. I
And
think they've
right
done
then and
it.
there, you would follow me.
Maybe. But
Absolutely, you would.
How-
Almost 100% of humans would actually do
okay,
that.
that's fine. Maybe that I'm not disagreeing with that.
That's
I think
knowledge.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that. I think what will happen though eventually is once you have that knowledge and that power,
You try to use it for your own
you're
good.
going to try and yes,
but
you're going to like it
here's
happens all the
here's
time.
my thing, right? Is the mass majority of the people of, I'll call them the resources of the powers that be, are not, they don't have the knowledge, but they're doing the work. They're the ones who are putting these plans into place, who are perpetrating this, the 5G towers. If that's the cause, they're the ones who are doing all this, right? And the reason they have these is not because they tempted them with knowledge. It's because of people like Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell who blackmail these people. This has been a business for a very, very long time, and the Maxwells cornered the market.
Sure.
Her father, Robert Maxwell, was the one of the top spies for Israel, and he came here, started up a business of blackmailing politicians. They would have mansions. They would throw big parties. Guess what? The mansions were rigged with cameras. Invite a bunch of young teenage boys or underage girls, underage boys. Catch them on
16-year-old
video
looks like a
having sex
23-year-old.
with these people, having sex with minors. They have them for forever.
I
And now
don't
they
dis-
do whatever they say,
I
and they're
don't-
not going to betray them or split off. And I think it's a small enough number of people that have this information that they're staying cooperative and staying together because they know what's at stake for them.
Listen, I don't. Well,
Like, the Illuminati
you
isn't
don't
made
think-
up of a
you don't think
large
that-
number of
but-
people.
But you don't
No.
think that those same people are like have stuff too? That these other people they have stuff on may have dirt on them?
No.
Like, here's the thing: all of this stuff, even though we have evidence of a lot of it, and I think we all believe similarly that it's out there. Like, what we're talking about is overall kind of speculative, right? Because I'm arguing that I think there's a few groups because of what I've seen. You said no, there's only one, but I need to know. I don't have any evidence that whatever knowledge they have that's allowing them to accumulate this power is changing what their human nature is. this hierarchy of no, I want to be the one in charge because that shit.
Well, let's run on that theory. Goes back to exactly what he just said. Maybe no one's human nature has changed, but when you're being blackmailed for your life to be ruined forever, that sounds more like nature to me. That we know, and maybe they're using that. Either way, they're winning.
Yeah, I don't think Tom Hanks is one of the factions. Like, I don't think that. Yeah, that dude's probably being blackmailed by one of them.
Probably.
But
he knows that they.
Are you kidding me?
Like there's a select few
He's
people.
the biggest fucking pedophile I can think of right now off the top of my head.
I understand that he's a pedophile. I don't think he's running it.
No,
I think
absolutely
he's one of the ones
not.
being blackmailed.
Absolutely.
Right. So like.
So you do what you're told when you're being blackmailed, and you have everything to lose.
But even if there's just, y'all said there was you think there's a group of people, a small group of people, that are blackmailing all of these people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the way groups work, especially when there's this kind of money and power and all this shit, it doesn't matter. That's why people, when they have more money than they know they could ever spend, their kids and their grandkids could ever spend, they keep going for more. Because there's some kind of insatiable...
It's not money, it's power.
It's power, but it's the same thing.
I agree to an extent, yes.
Like, so they keep going for more and more.
No, I disagree with that because, okay, in our world, money gets you power. But compared to the power they have, it's not the same. Knowledge is power. And the knowledge they have, I think, holds them together.
Yeah.
Just like
they are not
just
your
like a
average
congregation
person.
in a church. Now, obviously, there's beefs within a church and things happen. But you know what I mean? People come together over beliefs, over things like this. And
Caleb, that's a terrible analogy if you're trying to
It's
make
not,
this
though,
point.
because that's the
every church I've ever been to.
No, but that's the reason
that is the power
nationalism
struggle.
exists, right?
Yes.
We're all on the same team because we all live in the same country.
yes.
Right? Nationalists. People are nationalists. People with completely opposing
They
different
say that,
views.
but they're not.
But they are.
Who?
When it comes to
But what I'm saying,
if there's a
but
threat,
you have to
we put our
understand-
differences aside because we have a common goal, and the common goal is that we want our country to be the number one.
You have to understand, though,
Right?
when it comes to a church believing in the Bible or believing in your government, these things are not provable, but what they have and what they believe in is real.
It's real.
It's
They
the
know.
truth.
But the power that
And
a
so-
pastor has is real.
No.
Like, what do you mean no?
He can brainwash people, and then
Yeah, but he has-
but then you always have people that wake up and they do this and they do that, and then you have that conflict. Yes, but I'm saying
It's the same thing with the Illuminati.
People get
They're just
brought
bigger.
together, but when what you're getting brought together over is the truth, that holds you together. I believe. Now, I do
crazy
think
is-
there might be power struggles within, but those are inner power struggles that get dealt with because they know how to do that.
And
because
that
they're an
never
organization
reaches
that
out.
has survived for thousands of years.
But
Yeah,
you're
you don't
operating on the
last this
premise
long. You do not last as long as these people have lasted with the same mentality that your average man has, with the same human nature
But
that the average man has.
There's something to that
do
knowledge
not
that's holding
last that
this
long.
and preserving this thing.
There are people that are loyal to certain things. There are people who are loyal to just the United States who are brainwashed, right? Who will go out and die for this place thinking they're doing the right thing, right? You have something that's even more powerful, knowledge that it can be proven. You're talking about answering questions that no one has the answer to. That's even stronger than just your average nationalism, and people go die every day for their fucking country, right?
Without any knowledge.
Without any knowledge of what's really going on. This is like, I can show you. I can even show you magic. You know what I mean? I can show you things that you would not believe,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
That changes human nature.
Okay.
That changes the way people act. They become completely loyal to that particular thing because they've been shown something no one else knows. When you enter into the inner circle, you're not going to just leave it. Plus, you can't leave it.
Listen,
There's no leaving
but
it.
this-
Yeah, now you know.
But this is what I'm saying. No, dude. Like, I disagree with that because I think if you took just, let's say you took 5 random people from super developed countries and you stuck them in some third world country tribe scenario, and they bring with them all their knowledge, their cell phones, and their weapons, and all that stuff, and now they're the group. And they're going to rule over all of this tribe. it's the same scenario. It's the same because
They will
if
have
it's a
that
primitive
power
enough, if
for forever.
If a technology is advanced enough, it appears as if it's magic. Like if I took this phone to some tribe, they would think I was God.
And they'll believe you for the rest of their lives and generations
But
to
I don't-
come, as
but
long as you
I
don't
don't-
tell them any truth.
but-
You just pretend to tell them
So you
what they
think
want to hear.
that us going to that place and being there, and keep in mind, it's not us. It's not people around this table that generally get along and like each other. Like, and I go there to this tribe, and there's 5 or 6 of us that have this stuff. You think that there will never be any kind of a power struggle there because we have superior knowledge to these people?
Yes. If I'm,
But
listen to me. Well, let me put it this way. You're talking.
You're still not getting the point.
If I take an AR-15 and I put it behind my back, and I'm carrying it over my fucking shoulder, and I come to a tribe that's only ever seen bow and arrows, I promise you, when I shoot a fucking deer in its face, they will say, I worship this guy like he's the king of life, and I'm never going to contest him.
His point is what he's saying is that there's 4 other people who are also like you, who have different weapons as well.
Yeah.
They're going to
And
try to
you
fight
all
amongst
show
each other.
your knowledge, and they go, wow.
Oh, you're saying if all 4 of us went that way?
But not even
worship
4 of
all
us.
of you.
But
That
I'm saying-
eventually
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
gonna, those 4, those 5 would end up fighting amongst each other to be the only one that they worshipped. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But my thing is that it's like comparing apples to oranges. The knowledge doesn't compare. It's the truths that I believe they hold are so strong and so powerful that it's not going to work like that.
I don't think it's truth, though. You keep saying truth. I think
Listen,
it's more
they
like
know
power.
the truth, but they don't. They twist it. They don't want to do the right thing. They know the right way. They choose the opposite of the right way because that does gain you power.
Exactly.
They believe they're gods.
So
But because knowing
I don't
that
think so.
they know the truth, they can use
believe
the
that
opposite
they're
to
trying
gain
to be
power.
gods.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think they
I
are
think
too.
they're playing. Are any of you biblical? Any of you believe in God? Any of you believe in the Bible?
I believe in a creator.
Yes.
I know the Bible.
I think that if you read Revelations, you would say, we're on the brink of the end of the world. And I think that the only reason that I wholeheartedly believe in the Bible is because of what's going on exactly right now. If you can't look at the comparisons of what's going on right now and what's in the Bible, that blows my mind. I don't think these guys think they're gods. I think they're playing the part of what's to happen.
I think that
Absolutely.
I think that you could look at different times throughout history and compare them to Revelation.
I've
and
said
they
that
would
myself
line
to
up
make myself feel
exactly
more
the same.
comfortable. Absolutely.
But
I've said, holy
but I
shit.
believe it's the truth.
There are people that, I mean, you think about Hitler, oh my God, he killed 6 million Jews or more and all this, and you're like, oh.
Tuberculosis kills more than that in a year.
Yeah, that is a stat.
We are literal crazy people.
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, I just think that, I don't think that they think they're gods. I think that they're playing their part. Have you?
Why would you
change
play
the
that
subject
part? But I think that
Let's change the subject
they think
for
they're gods
right now because we're gonna be down this
Okay.
wormhole for the rest of the fucking podcast.
So, Ethan,
Yeah.
are you a Christian?
A Christian? No.
I have a question real quick because I don't know a whole lot about Revelations, but and I asked Caleb this yesterday, he didn't know either, but Jason, you might know. Does the rapture not happen first
No.
before this type of shit happens?
Those are
or
two
am
different
I-
predictions.
Am I completely
There's
wrong?
pre and post tribulations.
According to Revelations, though, just from what you know, Jason, because you've...
Fuck you, motherfucker.
No.
Why don't you ask me? Because I've done more digging than he has. I
Okay,
guarantee
no,
it.
and that's fine. I want to hear your side of it too. I don't mean it.
Motherfucking
I didn't
piece
mean
of
it in a bad way. It's that
He has no idea.
I've known that Jason has
shelf is fucking.
Will you bring this
has
back?
It doesn't matter.
Please, I like
funny.
Jason
It's just
has-
any random person like, fuck you. I know more than he does.
I'm not saying he does, but what I'm saying is I've looked more on the not the conspiracy side of this exact instance, but kind of.
I just want to know, because I know Jason has read Revelations, and I want to
haven't.
know.
I
want to hear both sides.
I kind of want to know,
look.
Captain.
Well, when you read,
I went to church with this
there-
guy over here. I just want to know what he has to say.
I want to know what he has to say too, but I want to say my shit first, you cocksucker.
Okay.
Listen to his take on the Bible.
Goodness.
Listen to my take. No,
Motherfucker.
He never went to church with me ever.
I did, and that's how I know Jason so well. That's why we're best friends.
That's right.
We have matching cars.
And I gave him a loan
He did.
as a teller.
There is not a single spot in Revelations that proves there's a pre or post tribulation. There's nothing in Revelations, correct me if I'm wrong, where it says Christ will come first or Christ will come after.
I thought there was like 1,000 years of something.
No.
This could just. I'm just saying. I grew up in church. This is just the shit that I've heard.
You hop in as soon as I say something wrong, but there is not a single point in Revelations where it says God will come before the rapture or he'll come after. That's why there's a huge divide in the churches of who believe what. And I don't know where your question was going with that, but there is not a single part in Revelations where there is Christ comes before all of this downfall or Christ comes after. That's why there's a huge divide and a huge within Baptist churches.
What would make people believe one or the other?
Well,
then?
okay. So when you're
break
talking,
it down.
When you're talking about like eschatology,
Okay.
there are man just flipped me off. When you're talking about eschatology, there's 3 main views, and it's centering around that 1,000 years you're talking about. So there's premillennialism, amillennialism, and postmillennialism. And I think that's like Revelation 21 or 20, one of the two. And so it's centering around that 1,000 years or whatever. And when they talk about it, they're not just talking about Revelation, they're talking about different end time stuff. Jesus said, I think Thessalonians has some of it, Daniel, and Revelation. And most of the stuff, the prevailing view in America is premillennialism, and it's dispensationalism, which is kind of ridiculous because we've all had the same book for all these years, but that viewpoint did not come around till like the early 1900s, right? And it came around with what's his name, Schofield.
Of course he doesn't know.
Schofield or whatever. He wrote this Bible, and they say that's the most literal reading of the scriptures with this kind of stuff. But like, you can't read this. What do they call it? Like, you don't read prophecy in the Bible the same way you read narrative, and you don't read apocalyptic literature in the same way as you do those other ones, because they're written differently to accomplish. You're trying to get to what the author was saying, not just, hey, what did it literally mean? So, in any event, like, the reason that everybody believes this premillennial dispensational theory with the rapture and the tribulation and all that stuff is because of the Left Behind books.
Right.
Because they were heavily influenced by the Schofield guy that just came around in the 1900s. But you've got all these years of Christians reading the Bible that nobody interpreted it that way.
Okay.
So any of these 3, historical, premillennialism, amillennialism, and postmillennialism, those 3 things at least have some history, right? This thing is a newer thing, and it was sensationalized by Left Behind and Kirk Cameron and all that stuff, and that's why all the churches think that.
Okay.
But I don't understand really what you were...
My question was, because I've watched Left Behind videos, I thought the rapture comes first, then the mark of the beast, then all this other shit, right?
But I don't even think, like, when you just read, like, the stuff about, like, it's in the Gospels where it talks about, like, there'll be, like, 2 men standing there and one's taken away, right? That's supposed to be the rapture. That's what all the But if you read that, just read it and try to get rid of all your preconceived stuff and read it the way it seems to read, like, the person being taken away has always been taken away to judgment, right? He's not being swept up to heaven. It's taking away the wheat from the chaff that's being burnt up.
And so,
Well, who could judge that person then? Like, who would be judging them and separating the wheat from the chaff if it wasn't Christ?
Well, yeah, yes, it would be. So I guess what I'm saying is that I think that whole premillennial dispensation, like where the rapture comes and then all the bad stuff in Revelation happens, is just this
bullshit.
This error reading of the text. And also with a hopeful, well, we're Americans and nothing bad's going to happen to us, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and even then, it's like a newer version of this stuff that I don't think
let me ask
is
you.
accurate.
Let me just say something real quick.
Go ahead.
To break it down in a non, because I don't know what words he was saying the whole fucking time. For anyone
But you know more about this than I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. No, I'm just fucking. No, but to say, it just blows my mind for the people that believe in pre-tribulation, that it happens first and then all the bad stuff. You got to look at it in layman's terms. If God came and presented himself in front of billions of people before all the bad happened, faith would not be what carried. After that, you already know God exists. Everything's already. You've seen people disappear in front of your face, or however it happens. You don't have to have faith anymore. You already know who God is. You already know that is the actual truth.
Yep.
And at that point, your faith is non-existent, because now you know for a fact. So, to me, I've always looked at it in the sense of, that's absolute bullshit. It could never happen first, because then, say I watch you vanish in front of my eyes, I would know exactly what it was, because
we've all heard it.
Yeah, because we've all heard it. I've read it, and now I know. Oh fuck! I need to believe in God. I really need to find myself with God, because I've seen you disappear in front of my eyes. To me, that's absurd. That could ever happen first.
It seems like it, but why would God leave Christians here to go through all of that when they're already Christians? Why wouldn't he take them home?
Because God's an asshole.
Well,
that's what I was getting.
Give him that.
That's what I was getting to.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, no, we know you're not kidding, you fucking satanic bitch.
No, like, you kill AIDS Christianity.
I told them that this morning. I said, God's an asshole.
You told who that?
My mom and dad.
Yeah.
Jesus seems awesome, you know?
Yeah.
But God's a dick.
Yeah. God told you how you ought to treat your slaves.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, I mean, that same line of thinking of, like, why would God let people go through? Why would he let any of us go through any of this? Like, this clearly suffering, deformities, illness.
Because he doesn't fucking owe you anything. And I think that's where the Christians get it wrong.
That's where they would say that. That's what the Calvinists would say anyway.
Maybe I'm a Calvinist still.
Of course you are.
But he created us to suffer. What an asshole.
He can make...
What an asshole.
Does a potter say to the clay what he can do with one, what he can't with another? That's what Romans 9 says.
But if the shitty made piece of pottery has a mouth, it's going to call the person who made it an asshole.
Because it's sinful.
Because it looks like shit.
It's sinful.
You're an idiot, Caleb.
Caleb, do you want
me
to
going
play?
to hell?
I can play devil's advocate on this real good.
No, but I'm with you, though, because
see
look,
where I'm coming from?
I'm now existing because you created me and you made me look like fucking shit. You gave me a bunch of crap.
Yeah, bull fucking shit. Now you're existing.
You killed everyone I love.
You're an idiot.
You've made me suffer, this and that.
Why did you create me in the first place?
Are you?
Absolutely not.
Like, I'm just saying, like...
But I don't...
most of this, honest, I want you guys to watch Preacher because it's a phenomenal show. And they call God an asshole and a bunch of other things. But just...
So do I have.
It's a fair thing to say.
Imagine being given life and then saying you're an asshole because I don't look the way I wanted to. What are you to say that?
That's true too.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you have the shittiest life of all time, you have a fucking life, motherfucker.
Give them that.
But
playing both sides now.
But my point is
there is no point.
Yes, listen to me. If someone is sitting there, an all-knowing, all-whatever God that can create whatever, and he decides to create something for himself and spend eternity torturing them, he's a fucking asshole.
No, to me,
That's as simple as it is. It's.
I just disagree, man.
And then you've got the whole. I think when I said it to my parents is after they were talking about the majority of people will go to hell and a few will go to heaven. It's just. It seems like he created and there's the whole God predetermined everything. He knew everything,
which is
it was going to happen.
absolutely what the Bible teaches.
Exactly. And so therefore he created people so that
Satan.
he could torture them. No, not for Satan. Satan has nothing to do with hell. He created people so that he could put his wrath on them infinitely in hell. The majority of the people that will ever live, that have ever lived,
will go to
burn
hell.
in hell to face
According
God's
to the Bible.
wrath.
And
he knew it before he did it.
That is
and-
according to the Bible.
And before
Truth.
you offer, I guess, commentary on that, he did that because it glorifies him. That's what
It brings
what
him
I
glory.
consider are the most solid Christian sources. What they would say, the most biblically faithful, is because it brings him glory, and thus it brings his followers, Christians, the most joy and fulfillment. And that's one of the things that is kind of hard for me to get past in the Bible, because I think it's in Revelation. I'd have to look it up, but it basically says when Christians are in heaven, they will smell the flesh that is burning in hell rising up, and that it will bring them pleasure because God is but here's what, and this is something I went.
In the Bible?
Oh, I'll find it. And when I'm done talking, y'all finish talking, I'll find this.
Something they didn't teach me in Sunday school.
But like, and this is one of the small groups. It was one of the last ones I went to. We started talking about this, and I was like, this is what is hard for me, because like you said, most people are going to go to hell. So my child that is sleeping upstairs right now, that I've cared for, that I've provided for, that I'm going to love probably more than anything else in this world for the rest of my life, I'm going to smell that in heaven and rejoice that he is in the most brutal form of eternal suffering that he can never get out of. That's kind of
Just
hard for me to
it
get
brings
past.
Glory to God.
And I don't know that
what a selfish dick.
And
I mean,
I don't
that's my
know
point.
that in me that is my sinful nature that is saying, "Oh no, that's right. Offensive to me." It's hard for me to think. I don't know what in me would be sinful to think. I don't want that for my child.
Now let me ask you this, preacher man.
I don't feel like I'm preaching, but okay.
No, I'm just fucking with you. Do you not, and this is just something that I haven't really done any digging into, but do you not have, you have a new form and a new name and a new everything, right? Mm-hmm. When you get to heaven?
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
How would you know that was your son?
Because they all say you still have your memories.
Nowhere in the Bible does it say you'll still have your fucking memories if you go to heaven. Nowhere in the Bible.
Well, yeah, they extrapolate that from the fact that you will be worshiping forever because you will remember all the things you did wrong and how Christ saved you from that. And
it says that?
Yeah.
And obviously not that way, but see, I never knew that.
Yeah, so like you're gonna remember all this stuff here.
You're gonna remember
because you stand before God at the end of it, and you give an account.
Yeah, you'll remember.
Well, yes, because it does talk about your spouse. It's like you'll know them, but Jesus says that you'll know them, but you won't know them. Like it won't be marriage up there. Like basically, you'll know they were your spouse here, but up there it'll be different because everybody's kind of one.
What if some of your sins
remember
involve
that.
your kids? You know. You're going to remember that.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Man.
And I'm saying this because it's a fact. I'm not saying that God doesn't exist or that I don't deserve all the suffering or punishment that he would give me. All I'm saying is that he's an asshole for doing that.
Well, this is something that I talk about...
In the view of people... If a person created something just to torture it, we would go, you're a psychopath.
A bad person.
You should be locked up.
If
you're breeding people to kill them and torture them and give them disease.
We locked up the Tiger King because he was breeding cubs to kill him.
Listen to me.
And so that's my whole...
You were given life.
I didn't ask for it.
Kill yourself.
No, because then I'll be tortured in hell for all eternity.
You were given life, and that to me is enough to say whatever goes on Earth is still greater than never being given life.
I mean, I think life is very sacred and
Do you think everyone would say that?
Not
everyone.
No, weak-minded pieces of scum shit that kill themselves and are very selfish they probably wouldn't say that. But the fact
God
that
is the most selfish being.
But do you think that
of all
let's
of
go back to
everything,
our
though, is my point.
let's tie
And I think
this
the
all
Bible
together.
says that.
Yes.
Let's tie this all together, right? So do you think the Illuminati, who steals a kid when they're 2 and rapes and tortures and steals the bodily fluids out of that kid and uses them, do you think it was better for them to
yes,
Have lived
have
than
lived
never
and
lived?
not?
I think they would disagree.
they don't know what death is. They've never.
No, they die. They kill
Yeah.
them. They sacrifice
What I'm
that
saying
child.
is, would they have rather picked life or death? Or
They didn't
never
have
been-
a
or
life. They never
being
had a
born
life.
at
They
all?
only had a life of suffering
If
and
you've
then
never
death.
been born at all, you have no conscience. You have no fucking thought of what
You wouldn't know the suffering, would you?
Here's a thought.
suffering to me is still better than never living.
I believe
Listen, I
that
am
we existed.
all
Do you-
about
and
being
no,
alive.
Hold up. Let me say this.
No,
Let me say this
no,
one
because
thing.
me and him are having a conversation,
this
and I
is-
want to hear what he has to say.
This is important. I believe that we existed before the creation of
Tell
the
me about
universe.
it. Tell me about it.
When there was nothing but void,
Tell me about it.
technically, we could exist. I'm horrible with math, and I'll find a video and I'll send it to you because I won't be able to explain it the correct way, but I'm gonna do the best that I can. The equation, the mathematical equation of the human vibration of human consciousness essentially is equal to 0. The only thing that can exist in the void is nothing, which is 0. Therefore, we can exist in the void. We have always existed.
Which is why we exist
Do you remember
after death.
existing outside of your life?
I'm not saying that I do. I'm saying that it's possible.
Would you have never remembered anything ever and
I
have
think
never
the
been
Bible
born
actually,
or
there's something in the
suffered
Bible
your
that
entire
says
life
that
and still
before
had
you're
your life?
born, you exist in heaven? Does it not say that
No.
in the Bible somewhere? Because I was taught that, and then
Let's
I was
move on.
asked about
Let's
it.
move on from
and,
this as
I'm not
well.
sure.
And Mom looked it up and said, "Yeah, like a long time ago," but she said that.
Yeah, we'd have to look into that a little more.
Let's move along real quick.
I think it's about time to.
You're a psychopath. I want to bring something up real quick.
People only listen to 5 minutes. We're an hour and a half in.
Perfect. Those 5-minute fuckers can eat a dick. So, what I'm
Amen.
about to say,
Give it to them.
They won't ever hear this
they'll
part.
never hear this. They can all eat a cock. The people that listen to the entire thing will say, I appreciate that they kept it going, because I personally like listening to a 2-hour podcast before I like listen to a 30-minute one. I can't remember if I sent it to you or Austin or you, but it's about adrenochrome and the molecular makeup of it and how it looks like a bunny or a rabbit, and all these A-listers and all this are like follow the white rabbit or some shit. And it's something that someone said recently. I think it might have been Hanks. I could be wrong, but it was an A-lister talking about they said follow
Isn't
the white.
that from The Matrix? The White Rabbit. Follow the White Rabbit.
Well, what's
Yeah.
also weird is that if you look at the molecular makeup of adrenochrome,
What is that?
Caleb.
really,
Just explain it to me.
you explain it to me.
I don't know what it is. I'm asking you.
You cocksucking motherfucker.
You don't know what it is either, do you?
Adrenochrome is, from what I've understood, what they consume to preserve life. Is it not?
Do you want to?
Like the blood of innocent
The
children.
blood of innocent children.
It's
Yeah.
supposed to be from the adrenal gland of innocent children, and so they terrify them and torture them.
Okay, yeah.
And it secretes this,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they say
I know
that
what
it
you're
preserves
Which
their
is
life. and-
adrenochrome.
Yeah.
And that's how they preserve life, basically. Either way, not only does it look like a bunny or a rabbit, also in the hands of what it seems to be the hands of the rabbit or bunny in the molecular makeup, there's a red and a blue pill, which is also, there's a red and a blue, whatever
That's
the fuck
from
it
The
is,
Matrix.
which is weird as fuck to me. I just wanted to bring that up because we could talk about Christ all day long and you're going to hell, and we all know that that are listening. But
Watch Preacher.
That shit to me is weird as fuck. Because what did you mean by rabbit and or bunny or whatever the fuck they said? And then you look at the molecular makeup of this stuff, and if you flip it upside down, it looks like it is a bunny with ears. And in the little two arms, there's a red and a blue, whatever the fuck it is. I'm not a scientist, but there's red and there's a blue something.
Like spot.
Yeah,
of something, yeah. That's weird.
That shit to me is like, what the fuck? Like, if they are in, that goes back to what we were talking about how knowledge they are. Far beyond what I could ever conceptualize. Like, I don't have there's no possibility I can conceive what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
But if they all know that knowledge...
I think the best way to get, not the actual knowledge, but bits and pieces, is to watch science fiction, Hollywood, big production films and shows.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
They put all their secrets in there, sprinkle them in, and it's...
Agree
and
completely.
it's like,
have you guys...
ludicrous to believe it, but I think some of it's legit.
I haven't heard what you guys have been talking about, but have you guys seen... Okay, but I was talking about just basing on what you guys were talking about, them showing you pieces of things, right? Have you guys noticed how many times they've said 33? The virus has risen 33%. Like,
so that's a biblical term as well, is it not?
33 is a Masonic.
There's 33 Masonic? Degrees.
Yeah. But in the Bible does not refer to 3
Christ,
33.
Christ died when he was 33.
He died when he was 30. There's a lot of...
He was crucified at 33.
Weird things at about 33 in the Bible alone.
It all goes back to the mystery schools. And the mystery schools, where you learn all this stuff, the Illuminati has taken this knowledge. There's a lot of truth in it. They twist it, right? They give you things that are false. They spread it through religion. And it's... We're given so much... tidbits of truth with a lot of false things around it, right? And so it's very hard to fucking figure out what it is that they believe, what the truth really is, what the evil side of the truth is, what the good side of the truth is, because they're skewing it constantly. You're not ever getting the full picture from these people, right? It's just like a big slap to the face every time they fucking speak. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. Everything about it is nuts.
Well, I've seen a lot about the number 33. Not necessarily when it comes to COVID or anything like that.
You know,
but
my grandfather was a 33-degree Mason.
You know that my birthday is 3/7, and 7 and 3 are the most holy numbers, supposedly. And that's why I'm the Antichrist.
That means you're the holy child. You're the hidden Messiah.
I've thought that a lot in my life, which is crazy.
And that's where we'll end it.
And I'm done.
Secret Jesus.
I am the Messiah or the Antichrist.
I feel like this has been fairly controversial.
Nah.
Well, I mean, Caleb's going to hell. Mark that down. If there is a hell, you're going.
I think one thing we've established is that God is definitely an asshole.
Well, and then Ethan, since he'll be in heaven, will be enjoying the fact that you're in hell.
Yeah,
and
he's gonna
smell
my flesh.
Jason has he's smelling his baby's flesh, supposedly.
I don't know. I gotta look that up, but
yeah, you're making shit up.
I know I am.
He's a part of the Illuminati.
But I can't get my phone to work. So.
Yeah, he's misinforming his own podcast.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've done that a ton. I think that's why we said don't listen to it.
Yeah, that's part of it.
We don't know what the fuck.
But here's what you should listen to: this entire pandemic is a scam.
We didn't talk about that.
And listen to the whole damn thing. I mean, damn it.
Seriously. So I listened to 5 minutes. I want you to hear this part. Me speaking now.
Well, why don't you just
at the end
dive in a little bit to it, because it never got done.
We need to do something special at the end to keep people on the hook.
That's right.
A giveaway.
That's right.
$300,000.
There's a $300,000 giveaway if you reach the end of this.
We should give something away at the end of this. That way, if anybody does it, they can comment. Whoever comments, we're going to pick one randomly. They get the underwear that Caleb's wearing right now.
No, I love this pair of underwear. No one's getting it.
Well, okay. Fine.
All right, we'll go to
a quarantine Walmart. We'll buy a new pair of underwear. Caleb will wear it for a week, and then we'll send it to you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Win-win-win.
Sorry, but I'm winning.
You're not Ethan's commenting.
Are you kidding me?
I've already got the page loaded up, ready for it to
Dude,
pop up.
I've already commented.
We will
Read
give
those
you
comments.
a pack of fresh underwear if you comment saying that you reached the end of this, and you can say what I say right now.
Give him a word.
What should I say?
God is an asshole.
If you can say God is an asshole in your comment below,
I don't know if that should be our word.
you get a pack. Okay, what's the word?
If you don't have the balls to say it, you don't deserve anything.
You
Okay.
can't wear underwear that support
I've
your
worn.
balls.
You've got to comment. God is an asshole.
They've supported my balls for a full week.
Exactly. I've got the balls to say it, so there's going to be plenty of extra room in there, so you better have the balls to say it.
All right, we'll see you next week.
It's been a rough one.
Bye.